Thank you very much. Greetings to the officials and the mayoral candidates of the EFF, to the media, to staff members of the hotel and the EFF, the people of South Africa, Africa and the diaspora. The economic freedom fighters take this opportunity to reflect on the highly successful celebration of the organization's 13th anniversary and the launch of the 2026 local government election manifesto at Thohoyandou Stadium in Limpopo on the 25th of July 2026. The occasion was a demonstration of the continued strength, growth, and political relevance of the EFF. The thousands of fighters and members of the public came to affirm a shared commitment to the struggle for economic freedom and to receive a program for the transformation of local government. Thohoyandou was therefore both a celebration and a declaration of intent, victory or death. For the 13th years, the EFF has built itself as an organization rooted in the daily struggle of ordinary people. We have confronted the political establishment inside parliament, legislature and municipal councils, and we have consistently placed the interest of workers, the unemployed, young people, women and the poor at the center of our political program. The 2026 local government election manifesto is a product of that experience. It is a document of the conditions confronting our people and is informed by a decade of experience in local government and by the lessons learned from communities across South Africa. The message from Thohoyandou is that South Africa cannot continue with municipalities that exist on paper but fail in practice. Our people live with water shortages, unreliable electricity, sewer spills, uncollected refuse, unsafe roads, unemployment, and collapsing infrastructure, while municipal resources are wasted through corruption, outsourcing, and political patronage. The EFF is therefore offering a fundamentally different model in our 2026 manifesto. We are saying that municipalities must belong to the people and must become instruments of development, dignity, and economic emancipation. When we speak of land reform at local government level, we are speaking about municipalities using their powers to make abundant land and buildings available for young people to engage in agriculture and other productive activities. We are speaking about ending the sale of municipally owned land and making such land available for redistribution to black communities. When we speak about dignity, we are speaking about the basic services that millions of people are still denied. An EFF People's Municipality will guarantee reliable, affordable, basic services and ensure that qualifying poor households receive free water, electricity, sanitation, and refuse removal, including those living in informal settlement, backyard dwellings, and rural communities. However, the crisis does not affect only the poorest households. Working class and middle class income families are also being crushed by the rising cost of living. This is why EFF municipalities will introduce targeted support for households facing financial difficulties and provide relief through adjusted tariffs, subsidies, affordable payments arrangements, and debt relief programs. At the same time, we must end the culture of municipalities outsourcing basic responsibilities to politically connected companies. The EFF will rebuild internal municipal capacity by directly employing workers and ensuring that municipalities have qualified engineers, planners, artisans, financial managers, and other professionals capable of delivering services themselves. This approach is also central to how we intend to address unemployment. We will insource core municipal functions such as security, cleaning, waste collection, and maintenance to create permanent jobs. At the same time, Municipal procurement must be used to build local economies, which is why we have committed to direct a minimum of 80% of municipal procurements towards SMMEs, cooperatives, and township enterprises involved in manufacturing-related economic activity. EFF municipalities will build and upgrade sports facilities, libraries, parks, and community facilities, while deliberately preserving and promoting African history, culture, and heritage through museums, memorials, public art, and monuments that honor African and anti-colonial leaders. We are equally clear that local government must play a meaningful role in advancing gender equality and protecting women and vulnerable communities. EFF municipality will enforce a minimum 50% representation of women across municipal leadership, management, employment, procurement, and economic development programs. Healthcare must be brought closer to the people. Our municipalities must expand access to comprehensive primary health care, including maternal health care, HIV/AIDS care, mental health care, and all kinds of support. Mobile health units and community health workers must reach rural, peri-urban, and other communities that remain underserved by the existing healthcare systems. The same principle applies to electricity. Electricity is a developmental public good, not a commodity whose primary purpose is to generate profit. We will end unnecessary charges associated with prepaid electricity and restore municipal control over electricity billing and distribution. We will also establish dedicated rapid response technical teams capable of responding to electricity faults, outage, transformer failures, and infrastructure breakdowns within a maximum emergency response time of 1 hour. Additionally, we cannot speak about economic freedom while our municipalities remain centers of consumption instead of production. The EFF will drive localized industrialization so that municipalities become centers of production, employment, and economic activity. We will establish township and rural industrial parks focused on manufacturing, agro-processing, construction materials, repair services, and other productive sectors. Our human settlement programs will implement time-bound plans to address housing backlogs with transparent waiting lists and clear annual targets. Where the construction of permanent houses cannot happen immediately, municipalities will provide service sites as an immediate intervention while longer-term housing solutions are pursued. For coastal communities, the ocean must become a source of economic empowerment rather than an asset from which local people are excluded. The EFF will develop municipal marine economy frameworks that maximize benefits for local communities and establish community-owned aquaculture projects that create sustainable employment, particularly for young people. Water is a basic human necessity, and there can be no dignity without reliable access to it. Our municipalities will ensure that every household has clean, safe, and reliable running water. We will also establish dedicated municipal plumbing teams and commit to fixing reported water leaks within 1 day, because water cannot continue to be lost through poor maintenance while communities remain without supply. The same agency applies to sanitation. The continued existence of bucket toilets and unsafe pit toilets is an indictment on the democratic state. EFF municipalities will eradicate these forms of undignified sanitation and establish rapid response teams to deal with sewer blockages, leaks, spillages, and other sanitation failures. Our communities must also be clean and healthy. The EFF will ensure reliable water and waste collection and take decisive action against illegal dumping. We will bring waste collection and management functions back into municipal capacity while integrating waste pickers, cooperatives, and recycling businesses into formal municipal systems so that environmental cleanness can simultaneously become a source of sustainable economic opportunity. A people's municipality must also be a safe municipality. We'll strengthen municipal law enforcement through improved staffing, training and resources, and establish integrated crime prevention strategies in partnership with communities and law enforcement agencies. Our young people must be at the center of this transformation. The EFF will ensure that at least 40% of municipal employment opportunities are allocated to young people between 18 and 35 years old, while at least 50% of municipal procurement opportunities will be directed towards youth-owned businesses and cooperatives. We will also rebuild the infrastructure upon which communities and local economies depend. Municipal roads must be maintained and made safe, particularly those serving schools, clinics, cemeteries, and economic centers. We will expand reliable and affordable public transport, especially in under-serviced townships and rural communities. We know that South Africans have had enough promises. What our people need now is a political organization with the courage, discipline, and organizational capacity to implement what it says. I want to use this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to the ground forces of the economic freedom fighters. I particularly commend our branches for the manner in which they have conducted the branch people's assemblies to nominate candidates for deployment in local government. The branch people's assemblies are an important expression of internal democracy. They are an opportunity for members to debate, nominate, and make decisions about the people they believe can serve best, carry the responsibility of representing the EFF and its voters in municipalities. We are encouraged that this process has been conducted peacefully and without bloodshed. This is an important achievement for the organization, as a political competition must never become an excuse for comrades to turn against one another. We can disagree politically without destroying the organization we have collectively built. To those that have not yet completed the process, we encourage you to do so without unnecessary delays. As we reflect on the success of our 13th anniversary and the launch of our local government election manifesto, we cannot ignore the worsening conditions under which the majority of South Africans are living. The cost of living continues to place enormous pressure on working-class households, and we are witnessing a decline in middle-class households. The price of food, electricity, fuel, transport, and other basic necessities continue to eat away at the income of ordinary people. South Africans are working harder and taking home less in real terms, while the state continues to impose additional costs on households that are already struggling to survive. The recent inflation figures confirmed what our people already know from their shopping baskets. Consumer inflation reached 5% in June 2026, up from 4.5% in May, with transport and fuel costs among the major drivers of the increase. The price of fuel does not remain at the petrol station. When fuel becomes more expensive, the cost of transporting food increases, the cost of commuting to work increases, the cost of producing goods increases, and ultimately, the price of almost everything rises. Electricity has become another mechanism through which our people are being punished. South Africans are expected to pay more for electricity while receiving an unreliable and increasingly unaffordable service. This is precisely why the EFF has made it clear that electricity must be treated as a developmental public good and not as a profit-making function. The EFF reaffirms its position on the Phala matter, which is that there must be oversight in the face of the continued attempts by President Cyril Ramaphosa to avoid accountability. The EFF has never accepted that the President of the Republic must be treated differently from any other citizen when serious questions arise concerning the hiding of large amounts of foreign currency and the illegal circumstances surrounding the theft at his farm. The Constitutional Court, in the judgment concerning the EFF challenge relating to the Section 89 vote on Phala Phala, dealt with the constitutional framework surrounding the parliamentary processes. The EFF, therefore, regards the recent decision of the Western Cape High Court as deeply concerning. The majority of the full bench granted President Ramaphosa an interim interdict preventing Parliament's Section 89 impeachment committee from proceeding with its public hearings pending the determination of its review application. One of the three judges, Judge Francis, rightly dissented and found that Ramaphosa had no sufficient basis for the interdict. Our concern goes beyond the fact that the judiciary has ruled against the EFF. Our concern is that the judgment potentially establishes a dangerous principle whereby a court can interrupt a parliamentary accountability process that flows from constitutional proceedings before Parliament has completed its work. The EFF's position is that the majority judgment does not adequately explain the High Court's jurisdiction to interdict a process flowing directly from the Constitutional Court's order. It also does not sufficiently demonstrate the imminent and irreparable harm that President Ramaphosa will suffer if Parliament were allowed to perform its constitutional responsibility. If the executive can approach a court and suspend parliamentary accountability simply because the president does not want to face an impeachment inquiry, we must ask what happens to the principle of separation of powers and the constitutional authority of Parliament. We are equally concerned about the National Treasury's decision to withhold the July 2026 equitable share transfers from municipalities. National Treasury temporarily withheld transfers from 69 municipalities, citing persistent non-compliance with financial legislation and failures relating to the management of public funds. Treasury has subsequently announced the release of the remaining July transfers to 49 of the affected municipalities. The EFF does not support corruption, financial misconduct, or reckless management of public money. However, Treasury cannot use the people of a municipality as a collateral damage in a fight with incompetent municipal administrations. When Treasury withholds equitable share funds, the consequences fall on the grandmother who needs water, the child who needs sanitation, the unemployed person who depends on municipal services, and the municipality that already lives under conditions of deprivation. Instead, government must intervene directly, recover stolen money and wasted funds, remove corrupt officials, strengthen municipal administration, and ensure that the money reaches the services for which it is intended. This brings us directly to the EFF long-standing criticism of the current equitable share model. The present model is fundamentally inadequate because it does not sufficiently account for the enormous responsibility placed on municipalities, particularly municipalities serving poor, rural, and historically disadvantaged communities. Municipalities are expected to provide water, electricity, sanitation, refuse removal, roads, housing support, public facilities, and other services, while many have an extremely limited revenue base. This creates a structural mismatch between what municipalities are expected to do and the resources available to them. Even National Treasury has acknowledged that the mismatch between municipal revenue authority and expenditure responsibility is a serious concern. The EFF has therefore consistently argued that the local sphere of government must receive enough greater share of national raised revenue. We are not saying we must give municipalities money without accountability. We are simply recognizing that you cannot demand first-class service delivery from municipalities while financing them as though their constitutional responsibility are secondary. The EFF continues to observe the ongoing proceedings at the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System, commonly referred to as the Madlanga Commission. As an organization, we remain in support of all efforts to uncover the rot in our criminal justice system, as has been demonstrated in the ad hoc committee to investigate allegations made by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, wherein our participation enhanced the work of the legislature to expose and hold accountable those who have corrupted justice. We reiterate the call for all preliminary findings and interim reports by the Madlanga Commission to be made public and accessible, as those reports do not belong to the President of the Republic, but belong to the people of South Africa. To handle preliminary findings and reports with secrecy undermines the constitutional principle of transparency and risks selective and politically motivated conduct as it relates to prosecutions and arrests related to the work of the Commission. The EFF calls on all South Africans to resist the urge to succumb to juvenile and politically motivated insinuations drawn from the work of the Commission, which are not rooted in any evidence or fact. Despite all attempts to cast doubt over the organization and its leadership, there has been no evidence that ties the EFF to any wrongdoing, and this is a fact we remain proud of. We encourage the Commission and its evidence leaders to rely on evidence and drawn from verifiable and credible processes of the law and legal institutions. Tabloid journalism and speculations by media outlets who have proven vendettas do not constitute evidence, and the use of news articles as evidence by such credible commission only serves to undermine the credibility of the process and turn the Commission itself into a weapon of propaganda. The EFF takes this opportunity to reaffirm its position on the international developments that demonstrate the continued use of economic and political power by dominant countries to discipline nations that refuse to submit to their interests. We have seen the United States government recently threaten to cut off trade with Spain because of political disagreements over NATO spending and Spain's position on the use of its military bases in relation to the war against Iran. The EFF condemns this kind of economic bullying. It demonstrates the danger of a world order in which powerful states believe that they can use their economic dominance to punish other countries for exercising an independent foreign policy. No country should be forced to surrender its sovereignty or foreign policy choices because it fears economic retaliation from a more powerful state. This is precisely why South Africa must continue to pursue an independent foreign policy based on solidarity with oppressed peoples, respect for international law and the sovereignty of nations, rather than allowing our foreign policy to be dictated by Washington, London, or any other external power. South Africa must also continue to stand firmly with the people of Palestine. The EFF reaffirms its call for Benjamin Netanyahu to be arrested and brought before the International Criminal Court in accordance with the arrest warrant issued against him in 2024. We reject the hypocrisy whereby international law is aggressively invoked against leaders of third world countries, while those accused of grave crimes against Palestinians are protected by powerful governments. Having examined the legal position, Mamadini has acknowledged that New York City does not independently possess the authority to execute the ICC warrant, but he has called upon the United States federal government to enforce the warrant. The EFF welcomes this position and says that it must now go further. If Netanyahu proceeds with his planned appearance at the United Nations General Assembly in New York in September, the international community must not normalize his presence as though nothing has happened in Gaza. Netanyahu should not be afforded the legitimacy that comes with addressing the United Nations while an outstanding ICC arrest warrant remains in force. We therefore call on South Africa and all countries committed to international law and the rights of the Palestinian people to boycott Netanyahu's address to the United Nations General Assembly. South Africa must not sit in the hall and provide an audience to a leader who faces ICC arrest warrant. We should not shake hands, pose for photographs with him, or participate in the diplomatic theater that sanitizes the devastations inflicted upon the Palestinian people. The EFF further calls on other governments and delegations to follow this example. The United States government has been allowed to get away with kidnapping the democratically elected president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, in his own country and is currently holding him captive with no clear international case against him, besides wanting to gain control over Venezuela's oil supply. Yet Netanyahu is allowed to freely enter any country he wants and address the United Nations. This state of our international political landscape is backward and must not be allowed. The Palestinian people continue to endure unimaginable suffering, and the international community cannot continue to respond with statements of concern while maintaining normal diplomatic and political relations with those responsible for policies and actions that have resulted in mass civilian suffering. We call on all fighters, supporters, and structures of the EFF to give full support to all our mayoral candidates who were announced at the Thohoyandou rally. These candidates represent the breadth of the organization and the kind of leadership we believe must take responsibility for transforming municipalities. They bring different forms of experience, professional and political knowledge, organizational experience, youth leadership, and women leadership. This diversity is important because we have always insisted that our leaders must have the skills, experience, discipline, and political commitment to govern. The EFF proposed mayoral candidates for all metros and big cities are as follows: Buffalo City Metro, Mkhulule Dlevu, Nelson Mandela Metro, Snawo Tambo, King Sabata Dalinjebo, Neto Kolanisi, Mangaung Metro, Ntako Sam Matias, Ekurhuleni Metro, Ntabiseng Chibenga, Tshwane Metro, Treasurer General Umpile Mautwe, Johannesburg Metro, Dr. Tlale Mufokeng, eThekwini Metro, Tlengiwe Mkhalipi, Umsunduzi, Stanley Tutuko Mqiwa, Mpulukwani Lawrence Mapulu, City of Mbombela Deputy President Godrich Gadri, Rustenburg Kudumetsi Israel Munaisi, Sol Plaatje Lerato Florence Tito, Cape Metro National Chairperson Nontando Nolchungu. Additionally, we take this opportunity to announce mayoral candidate for the various other municipalities in each province. The names will be publicly available in the final release press statements. We express our full support and faith in all of our candidates to deliver victory in the 2026 local government elections on the 4th of November. Every candidate must remember the oath that accompanies EFF deployment. The declaration they undertook requires the candidate to serve the people of South Africa with discipline, honesty, integrity, and revolutionary commitment. It makes clear that deployment is not a right or employment, but a responsibility and organizational mandate, and that an EFF councillor must remain loyal to their community and the people of South Africa and make themselves available to serve their community. This is the standard we expect from every person who wears the red beret into a municipality. No mayor will be deployed to accumulate wealth, demand tenders, employ family members, abuse municipal resources, or become part of the same corrupt political establishment we have spent 13 years fighting. We are now entering another decisive phase of 2026 local government election campaign, and the EFF calls on every eligible South African who is not registered to vote and every voter who has changed their residential addresses to use their final voter registration weekend on the 1st and 2nd of August to register or update their details. We must therefore not wait until election day to discover that our names are not on the voters' roll or that our registration details are incorrect. I call upon every fighter to take responsibility for at least one person. Go to your family members, your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues, and the people in your communities. Ask them whether they are registered and help those who have not registered to do so. Our people must understand that registration is the first step towards using the vote to change the conditions under which they live. If you are angry about the price of food, electricity, and fuel, register. If you are angry about unemployment, register. If you are tired of sewer in your street, unsafe roads, water shortages, and corruption in municipalities, register. If you want functioning people's municipalities, register and register to vote EFF. Victory or death, we are going to win these elections. Now I'm going to attempt to do something here of butchering the names of EFF municipal mayoral candidates all over South Africa. Amahlati, Neliswa Mbulawa, Blue Crane Root, Subusiswe Plaki, Dr. A.B. Kuma, Gobisa Bomela, Dr. Beas Nodie, Yoleka Makwetu, Eludini, Matibele Lepafa, Emalatleni, Mzuvukile Tom, Enoch Mgijima, Zikona Njoli, Kreikai Malikole Mchoba, Inzika yetu Nokthula Mulokoti, Inquba Yethemba Thabo Mtsoso, Kuha Princess Maseti, Kokama Dibuse Mufukeng, Makana Nosikhumbuzo Zwane, Matatiele Babalwa Mathulelwa, Mbashe Asanda Machobeni, Mhlonto Kungeka Mpula, Mnuma Vuyane Pambo Vuyane Mkondidi, Mzambe Mzandile Mgweba, Ngushwa Sesona Maswana, Nguza Hills Busisiwa Bedumana, Ntabankulu Nontsikelelo Situnzi, Nyandeni Lona Chocho, Port St. John's, Lindelani Mkajini, Raymond Mtlaba, Sipho Mavuso. Sakhe Sizwe, Mthandazo Funo, Seku Nolo Nwabo Ngedane, Sunday River Valley, Noma Lungisa Koba, Umzimbu, Nati No Chati, Walter Sisulu, Setlabocha, Murhai, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Stembile Matikizela. Metsimahulu, Malefane, Musimang, Machabeng, against Isma Khashule, Thomas Matingwane, Ditlabeng, Mujalefa, Vilagazi, Malutiapo Fung, Matlomola Majage, Setsoto, Lebohang, Mokwake, Nala, Paki William, Mafojane, Mutaka, Kolile, Nongwanya, Mwate, Daniel Nkwe, Masilonyane Sina Brown, Tokolo Letseho Letsabo, Tswelopele Tebo Swaisa, Mohokare Lizwe Lepolo. New municipality doesn't have a name. Mpotse Molai, Kopanong Letseo Kaliso, Letsimeng Tabiso, Masailane, Mafube Edmond Mabuya, Matsupa Sentle Nkiane, Phumelela Mita Khatebe, Nketwane Matlomola Musia, Emfuleni Jeanette Maloka, Merafong Itane Mukwebo, Randwest City Wilisane Betuel Munyai, Mogali City Wonderful Serolodi, Lesedi Nombuso Njokwe, Midval Karabo Munyane. Umdoni Zibonele Duma, Umzi wabantu Sunny Boy Mzwandile, Umkhabathini Senzo Mkhize, Richmond Bongumu Sakunene, Inkosi Ilanga Libalele Pamela Mazibuko, Alfred Duma Lwazi Nkosi, Ukhahlamba Snenhlanhla Langa, Endumeni Lwando Msisali, Engutu Mbali Zondo, Emvoti Teresa Mlambo, Abaqulusi Thulani Ndlovu, Edumbe Mpilo Zungu, Nongoma Mthobisi Luvono, Uphongolo Thandwa Inkosi Msibi, Ulundi Jabusilwe Mlotshwa, Big Five Tlabisa, Simokasi Mthembu, Jozini Thonqo Gumbi, Ntubatuba Mandla Shangazi, Mhlabo Yalingana Dr. Mlambo, Umtlathuzi Sibusiso Mthiani, Umfolozi Mondli Shabalala, Umlalazi Gugulethu Biela, Kwadukuza Thobisile Nkosi, Mandeni Siyabonga Mdletshe, Maphumulo Sakhile Zondo, Ndwendwe Nonhlanhla Makhaya, Greater Kokstad Ncedo Njenga, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Phelelani Memela, Impendle Asemahle Ndlovu, Ubuhlebezwe Busisiwe Zulu, Umzimkhulu Nomfundo Mpiephile, Reinkonyeni Khethiwe Muthwa Buthelezi, Newcastle Mongezi Thwala, Enkandla Sanele Biela, Uzumbe Nokubonga Biase, Emadlangeni Sipho Ndebele, Umgeni Longelo Sokhela, Mthonjaneni Zama Mutimkhulu, Msinga Sithakaselwe Zondi, Denhauser Siphesihle Nzunza, Mpofana Sibonelo Ndlela, Mshwati Sihle Mfekane, Elias Mutswaledi Lancel Komane, Feta Khomu Tubatsi Khotatso Mogwane, Greater Letaba Reneilwe Mashabela, Greater Zanen Dumisani Malemela, Makado Anthony Matuba, Makudu Tamara Rebecca Motlala, Modimulle Lesecha Munyela, Musina Rendani Munyai, Thulamela Lillian Managa, Maruleng Bruce Malepe, Molemole Oscar Mutulla, Bloberg Aida Chula, Lepello Nkumpi Koki Maphetu, Phalaborwa Poncho Mushumo, Greater Giani, Amanda Mondlane, Ephraim Mogale Tabam Pasha, Mogala Kwena Shela Majoko, Tabazimbi Gabriel Muhutiwa, Lepalale Tabo Lepalala, Belabela Sunday Mudike, Collins Chaban Dunani Baloi, Nkomazi Mafia Fane, Bushback Ridge Surprise Kubai, Tabacheu, Gillian Masheo, Governor Mbeki, Tracy Simela, Dr. Pixley Kaisaka Seme, Stanley Mota, Chief Albert Lituli, Dingani Mbuyani, Dipalising, Jabulile Mngomezulu, Lekwa, Pindile Matlaba, Muskalikwa Simpiwe Ngwenya, Mkonto Mbali Dlamini, Dr. J.S. Moroka, Jackson Malachi, Emma Latleni, Mpo Morokolo, Steve Chwete, Popi Mailula, Tembisi Lehani, Glenn Sitole, Emma Kazini, Isaac Kosana, Victor Kanye, Ellen Mohadibi. Ditsobotla Matsidiso Botswe, Matlosana, Kobakile Papiki Bauwile, Greta Taung, Mutusi Muntwedi, Lokwataimani Justice Dibampe, Madibeng Stanley Komape, Moretile Tebo Elias Tongwane, Moses Kotane Tebo Mukwele, JB Max, Nonki Mary Sitwaro, Makwasi Hills, Tsireletso Malebetsane, Mafike Gosekwang Sehole, Ramotsere Tsolofelo Sebolao, Tswaing Petrus Motsokai Tsagai, Ratlou Monges Abdul Matone, Khetleng Refir Baratang Mukoni, Kagisano Molopo Koketso Sesi Sekopetwe, Naledi Warabile Sien Kopile, Mamusa Olebeng Mokgorosi, Magareng ke o lebogile Mekoa, Dikgatlong Kenneth Konotwe, Phokwane Mathapelo Siwisa, Tsantsabane Gail Sibia, Case Eric Bellis, Tembelitle Franz Mans, Ron Stenberg, Athwell Z. Quinana, Emma Tanjin, Sandile Makandula, Karibeg, Wilfred Hone, Umsombovu Mbuyiselo Manzi, Siatuma Rebaone Moleme, Jom Rolong, Huitzeno Kautsane, Khamagara, Huitzeno Sekhupi, Gasekhonyane Shadrach Tlaule, Siatemba Nonton Lenzi Bosman, Khatelopele Gavin Teteme, George Natasha Ntlangwini, The Waterskloof, Tozama Litakong, Bito Bandile Mlidazwe, Neisner Neil Low, Drankenstein Nomzamo Zoya, Belfort West Sonabo Makalmas, Brett Valley Avuile Bonakele, Langenberg Trikizwa Mangaliso, Langsberg Tembile Class, Mossel Bay Lutando Jack, Cedarberg Melikaya Ndesi, Bechrefir John van der Skees, Cape Agalas Winile Musome, Swartland Gapele Valley, Saldanha Bay Lennox Bika, Oversrand Sandiso Nkomo, Stellenbosch Inati Nkwembe, Canaland Dion Godfrey, Hesekwe Azola Zokwana, Osoran Letitia Eris, Matsikama Mandla Jones, Winsberg Lulama Ngwame, Swellendam, Tandutolo Sam Kala, Prince Albert Sam Sekali Mponzo. Those are the names of all municipalities that EFF will be fielding the mayoral candidate. I thought it's important that I read all of them because all municipalities in the EFF are equal and important. And no one should feel that it's announced through a press statement and the rest are announced through the president's mouth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President. Now, colleagues, it's your turn to pose questions to the President and the officials of the EFF. I will take 5 for the first round of questions. Modibe, 2 next to you, and then 3, and then Mawande 4, and then Tando 5. Let's get the mic.
Thank you very much to the officials and condolences to the Malema family and the EFF. May God be with you during this time. President, with regards to municipal procurement, when you go to many municipalities, black businesses, they are suffering because in order for your invoices to be paid, 10% must go to the mayor, 20% must go to the CFO. What steps are you going to put that your own officials don't go into those municipalities and start behaving like those officials who want 10%, 20%? Thank you.
Sorry, colleagues, can you please mention your name in the media house?
Mudiba from the Inside Factor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's Komodo Modise from Eyewitness News. I've got 2 questions. The first one, Mr. Malema, thank you so much for touching on the revelations from the Madlanga Commission and what's been happening there. Could you please weigh in more on Andrea Johnson? We know that you described her, you spoke quite a bit about her at the ad hoc committee, referring her to her or likening her to Mama Winnie. What are your sentiments now? How do you feel about her showing and her performance or her appearance at the Madlanga Commission? And then secondly, I know that you had spoken about General Feroz Khan as an old comrade of yours during an interview. There have been quite damning allegations against him as well. And I wanted to hear from you about your sentiment on that. And have you been in touch with him since we've been hearing these revelations at the Madlanga Commission? Thank you.
Salailo Makudirio from Salam Media. Just one quick question. The decision to look outside the traditional structures of the EFF for some of the mayoral candidates for the different municipalities, what was the process around that? And were these people handpicked? Did they have to apply to the EFF to do so? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to the leadership and my colleagues, and condolences, Mr. Malema, for the loss of your grandfather. Maybe let me start. My name is Mawande. I work for the Sunday World. Let me start where my colleague Khomuto ended with issues pertaining to Madlanga Commission. But my question is much broader, Mr. Malema. You've said what you've said already about EFF not being directly implicated, the insinuations, the innuendos and stuff like that. But I think we all know that reputation is everything in politics, and that there has been a reputational damage to the EFF owing to the revelations at the Madlanga Commission. How is the EFF planning to at least deal with the reputational damage that it has suffered as a result of the things that have been said at the Madlanga Commission, especially in light of the upcoming local government elections? And then second is still maybe to move to issues of local government elections, Mr. Malema, you've revealed, of course, Dr. Tlaling as the candidate for the city of Joburg, but I think there's also a general sentiment out there, I'm sure you've seen it, of people who were saying that they were expecting Dr. Mgcinichwaku, especially with his heroics that he did as an MMC for community safety. Maybe what was the thinking in that regard to not go with Dr. Mgcinichwaku that many seem to have been expecting to be the candidate? Still on local government elections issues, will the EFF be contesting these elections with a universal approach, or do you have a targeted approach? For instance, what you've just done with announcing the mayoral candidates for all municipalities, I think, It's a first in the EFF. And maybe to close off on issues of local government elections, why are you not contesting, Mr. Malema, given how high the stakes are? I mean, we've seen national leaders, Herman Mashaba, for instance, Helen Zille, who are contesting the seat of Joburg. Why did you not throw your name in the hat as well? Finally, from my side, Mr. Malema, what is your comment on the crisis at the higher education department under the current minister, Mr. Putman? I mean, I think through your own employee, Mr. Sklelonzi, who has highlighted all the issues at NSFAS, National Skills Fund, the SETAs, in fact, going as far as saying that Mr. Lonzi, that Mr. Putman is probably far worse than his predecessor, Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane. Finally, for real this time, what is your comment, Mr. Malema, on the divisions that we are seeing in the anti-illegal immigration movement under the March and March movement, with the likes of Ngizwe Mchunu, Phakelo Mthakathi, Ndabandaba, and Jacinta Ngobese now fighting among themselves? Of course, broadly with the issue of immigration being among main issues that the EFF interacts with political. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to the leadership. My name is Thando Mayako and I'm from the Business Day. So the EFF has decided to field mayoral candidates in all the metros and also all the major commercial hubs across South Africa. Could you just give us some insights into the internal polling data or external polling data that went into the decision? Where does EFF see its support coming out strongest? And if that contributed to fielding the mayoral candidates, the major names in the party, in the metros and in the commercial hubs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll hand it over to you, President, and the officials.
Thank you very much. We are very particular and strict about issues of corruption involving our cadres who are deployed in municipalities. And since our participation in local government municipalities, there is no single councillor of the EFF or MMC who has ever been accused of corruption or even charged or removed because there are serious allegations against them. They know very well that they don't engage in procurement except to play an oversight role and develop the necessary local policies and take decisions that will direct how the municipality should be run. And we can reassure you that anyone who's found to be involved in wrongdoing in the EFF will deal decisively with those individuals. It's a living experience, not only in municipalities, generally in the country and in provinces where invoices are not being paid. And for invoices to be paid, there must be exchange of hands. An extremely unethical conduct that the ANC has introduced in our government for the past 33 years. And therefore, we need to go in there and make sure we do away with that particular culture by punishing, especially the politically involved leadership. We need to deal decisively with those. And that's why when we're in Ekurhuleni, the first thing we did when we were leading the Department of Finance was to call all unpaid invoices and put them under one roof and say to them, you go from one table to the other. And a proper explanation must be given why your invoice is not paid. And if it's not, there is no proper explanation, the invoice must be paid there and there. There you are guaranteed no one is going to ask anyone 10% because it is in the open and they are all next to each other. Where the invoice start until where the invoice end. So we follow it practically with a service provider, where it gets stuck, that person must explain why is it stuck by you. Why is it not being processed to the next level? And if then there's no explanation, it ought to be processed. And disciplinary processes must follow, because it means there was a motive beyond the issues of a procedure which needed to be followed. I've not followed Johnson's appearance in Madlanga. I've got no such a privilege, unfortunately. I was one of the ground forces that organized the rally of the EFF in Thohoyandou. And if you know what it means to organize, you have no such a privilege to sit down and watch a television and proceedings. So I will, maybe some officials have watched will be able to give a commentary on that, but I didn't see it, unfortunately. And then I came back from Thohoyandou. I had to deal with funeral. So I come directly from preparing funeral to this podium. Again, I had no privilege of watching. So I will make time when, I don't know when, because it's going to become more and more busy now. And that's what we are obsessed with now, running a well-oiled machine towards victory on the 4th of November. So I'm unable to make that comparison. But even if I'd watched, I was not going to be in a position to give a comment, as it were, because the ad hoc committee is at an end. It's writing a report. So I can't give views here and go and give views in the ad hoc committee, especially when we do the final report. I think, if I'm not wrong, we have a meeting tomorrow or today, next Wednesday, to give a final report. And my views will be expressed, as it were. My comparison to Winnie Mandela, it was in relation to what she presented at the ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee and Madlanga Commission are not the same thing. And they don't use the same style of investigation, the same style of interrogation. She might have impressed me at that ad hoc committee and impressed me in the Madlanga Commission. I don't know. Or in the Madlanga Commission, she might have said things that were not put forward in the ad hoc committee. And therefore, to compare the two will actually be unreasonable. The reality of the situation is that you are going to have two reports. There's going to be Madlanga Commission report, and there's going to be ad hoc committee report. They may not say the same thing. They may say the same thing. So they all depend on the facts that were presented and the evidence that was presented before the two committees. I never get an opportunity to interact with Khan. I know Khan, and I've already made it very clear, I know Khan. He was shot, and then we were told he's in a hospital, he can't speak and all of that, and I left it at that. If any call which I made was to Mohammed, you see, said that the mention was talking to Khan in the WhatsApps. That's the man I called. I said, what's happening? Did they really shoot this guy, or what is the story? Because others say he was shot, others say he was not shot. No, he said, hey, brother, he was shot, that guy. He's in a hospital. How did they shoot him on the leg? He says, no, they didn't shoot him on the leg. They shot him on the chest or something. But I had your information when I was speaking to Mohammed. And Mohammed had a clear, elaborate information of what happened and so on and so forth. And I left it there because I couldn't go and see him. I can't call him. I can't do anything until Madlanga has done his work. If there's anything wrong that Khan has done, the Madlanga Commission must take him on. It's wrong for that young man of MK to say, I prevented Khan from coming to the other committee. I never did that. I asked the question, on which basis are we calling Khan? Whoever said we must call Khan should have given the reasons why, because I had no reason to call Khan. So I shouldn't ask you a question when you say, let's call Khan, and I ask you, why? Why should you call Khan? Foolish as they are, they can't reason. They keep quiet. They run away. They don't say anything. And then Khan doesn't get called. They blame it on me, as if I was running the committee alone. I'm not the type you will say things I don't question. I will question. Skosana said we must call judges. You remember that? Skosana said we must call judges. I said, you can't say judges. You must say a name, because judges is huge a concept. It includes the whole judiciary. And when it comes to judiciary, you must be very specific when you attack it. You must not just be using a blanket approach towards all the judges, because that thing is the last line of defense. If we delegitimize that sphere of government, we must know we're all in danger. So, Skosana, which judge do you want us to call? He says, yeah, Julius Malema. Julius Malema is the one who's criticizing judges. Now he says, we must not call judges. You see, that's the problem of people who don't think. I ask you, which judge we must call? You say Julius Malema. Am I a judge? I'm saying to you, I thought he doesn't understand English. I even said to him in Zulu, Faki gama baba. That's how we work here. I gave him a name because he's a coward. They are all cowards and they behave like they're brave. I said, do you want to call Judge Ludwaba? You must go and listen to those things. They're recorded in that thing of parliament where they record everything. I said, you want to call Judge Ludwaba? Because everybody here speaks about Judge Ludwaba, that Judge Ludwaba has been given a bribe, Judge Ludwaba gave bail, is that the person you want us to call? He couldn't budge. He went to Twaka. Tomorrow I'm going to be blamed that I said they must not call judges. When I called, which judge? He was going to put a name and I was going to say, why? Why this one? They said we must call them on the basis that they are mentioned. I said Zuma is mentioned. If there's an issue I take with that committee, is that Mkwanazi said Mtetwa called him and said to him, you must employ Mdluli in the crime intelligence. And then Mkwanazi refused. And after he refused, Mkwanazi went to tell the president, who was Zuma, and said to Zuma, this guy wants me to do a wrong thing by appointing Mdluli without following a due process. Zuma said to him, resign manje, actor before resign. Instead of Zuma saying, what are you saying? He wants you to commit wrong things. Give me time, let me call that minister and hold him accountable. We never called Zuma to ask him, why didn't you call Mtetwa, who made Mkwanazi to appoint a person wrongfully as a president? So if we are using the basis that a person is mentioned must be called, Zuma was mentioned. Mbalula was mentioned. Many people were mentioned there. But there was no basis within which we wanted to call them. So that's the question I asked about Khan. Why? So the young man goes there. All of you make an issue about me for obvious reasons, because I make you trend. If you write about your grandfather, you will not even trend. Where they say Malema, you just jump. You don't process anything. This guy says, I got called into a meeting with those guys of cigarettes in KZN. I forgot their names. He was called by Zuma's PA into that meeting in Durban. He was sitting in the meeting and they said to him, why do you trouble our guy? As he's still trying to justify himself, they take out a phone and call Khan and put Khan on the speaker and make him to talk to that guy. Those guys don't trend. Zuma doesn't trend. Zuma doesn't trend. I want to say their names, man. They will think I'm scared of them. What are their names? Those cigarette guys who used to work with Duduzani in KZN. No, there's a guy, man. He's known in KZN for cigarettes, and he's an Indian guy for cigarettes and security. Kaji. They are the Kajis. Kaji, they call him. He tells Madanga, Kaji calls Khan and put him on the thing, on video call, and then Khan starts saying the things he said to this guy. Kaji doesn't trend. I'm asking you the name here deliberately. You don't even know it. A name of a person who called a member of an ad hoc committee to speak to Khan. That is not a problem to you. Zuma, who organized that young man knew that if he's called by that lady of Zuma to a meeting and he doesn't go to that meeting, the job is finished. Zuma doesn't trend for organizing a meeting where they try to squash Khan's case with Kaji in the corners. It's not an issue, that. But it's like, I organized a meeting for that guy. That guy mentions that thing, all of it, in the Madlanga Commission, and then says, outside all of that criminality, says Malema is the one who stopped the ad hoc committee to call Khan. That is a big issue. We all refuse to think, how can Malema stop the whole committee? And he reminded me, but I lived that life from when I was young. My parents used to be called to school because I caused a strike that lasted for more than 3 months. So parents had to be called. And we're in a school where learners were more than 1,000, overcrowded. So when they call parents, I've got two options, either to send my mother or my grandmother. My mother was not an option. She was going to agree with those people, or this thing is a problem. So my grandmother will go. More than 100 parents will speak in one language. And then they will ask my grandmother to respond. And she will defeat them with one question only. And she will be speaking in Veneg. And then that guy says the same thing. Or batho ba ado comic ka mokana bana ba tejikua ba stopile ke sello a lete or ba bije Khan. Me. So he's also confessing that he's useless himself. He doesn't belong to the EFF. Why didn't he insist? You all know in that committee, when they stop you, but that your time is finished, you always find a way to come back, maneuver, order, chair. Skosana used to harass us there. If you go and look at the times, who spoke more than any other person in that committee, you're going to find this Skosana of MK, who said a lot of nothing. Only to come and say, Julius. And then Madlanga writes me questions about Khan and Mohammed speaking to each other. So they say, Malema says this. The chief says he wants a VBS docket, what. And then they ask me, I must respond to the conversation of two adults who are talking about me. Like you all do, without me being the CIC chief, they say chief that. All Madlanga investigators must do is that, okay, these guys said to Khan, we want a VBS case number, a person who opened the case, the address. Then look between that date where the case was asked or when it was retrieved from the files of the police and the day of Madlanga, and go and ask the investigating officer, what happened? They wanted a case, perhaps they wanted to intimidate you or the witnesses. So in between here and here, what happened? Because I don't know what case they are talking about. I don't know who's the investigating officer. I've never spoken to any investigating officer. A proper investigator will say, okay, maybe they wanted a docket, they wanted his address, they wanted to intimidate him. Oh no. They wanted to offer him money. Oh no. Let's go and find out from him. Has there been anything from Malema to you since you opened this case? Has there been anything to any witness since this case was open? I've never done anything like that in my life. Khan goes to a DC. The chair is Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. They say Khan was looking for that case because I was going to help him with his DC. With Chakalson, by implication, he implies that I did that. If I did that, I did it with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi then. Because Khan was cleared by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who came to the committee and said, actually Khan deserves an award from SAPS. That's Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi saying that about Khan. That's Julius Malema saying that about Johnson. No one says, look at this, look at this. Why did Mkhwanazi say Khan deserves an award? The same way you say, why did Julius say Johnson is Winnie Mandela? Why are you not saying, why did Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi say Khan deserve an award from SAPS for saving the day on that day? And you want me to listen to what you are saying when I know that you are full of hypocrisy, inconsistent, and full of vendetta. And you think what you are saying can get to me? No inconsistent person will ever get to me. No one. I'm giving you a typical example. In the same committee, I say, Johnson, you are like Winnie Mandela. Then more information gets revealed in Madlanga. Look at this, Julius. Look at this, Julius. In the same committee, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says, General Khan deserves a SAPS award for saving SAPS on that day. More information gets revealed in Madlanga. No one says, look at this Mkhwanazi. Look at this Mkhwanazi. And I must respect your views. You think I don't know that you are wishing bad things for me? Like whoever says, is the EFF image damaged by those allegations that got revealed? Which allegations? Which allegations got revealed where against the EFF? And you say perception is everything in politics. Fine, I agree with you. But which perception did you use? Which measure did you use to measure that there is a negative perception against the EFF on the basis of what was revealed in Madlanga? Because if I will tell you there is no negative perception, and you ask me, what am I using? Thoyando. I'm using Thoyando. It happened after Madlanga. I'm using June 16. Union Building. It happened after Madlanga. What are you using? Whatever. Without using any signs. What are negative perception? What are you using? It's skewed because I can if you give us 2 minutes to break here, we can bring you who are the political analysts, which political party they belong to. They all belong to political parties. Who are the journalists who make those comments? Because public discourse, you are referring to that thing. And you are very few. You're very, very few. That's why when we hire a hall for you, we hire this size, because we know you're very few. We don't hire a Dobsonville hall or a Orlando Stadium, because we know you're few. So your opinions are like this. That's you. So that cannot be intimidated. There's nothing outside tradition about choosing mayoral candidates. Again, you are dishonest. Which tradition? Because EFF has got no tradition of appointing mayoral candidates. So, which tradition have we gone out of it? Tell me. What? A thought process. By process. Public view. Public view. Which tradition? For the first time, we are nominating candidates. So we are establishing our new tradition. You said outside. Why did you go outside the tradition? No, you He said, why do you go outside the tradition, including the tradition structures? You added each other there. I wanted to deal with tradition, that this is a newly established tradition in the EFF. 1. 2, there is no one here who comes outside the structures of the EFF. Dr. Tlaleng has been with the EFF. Always. If you refuse to read, you don't need the picture. Just go and look at pictures, because reading might be difficult. If you want to ask us about Dr. Tlaleng, she has always been with the EFF and always participated in drafting committees of the EFF, including when we go to conferences, when we go to manifestos, Dr. Tlaleng is in those committees. When we go to commissions to discuss in detail issues, she's particularly very interested in the commission on health. She's there. Not wearing a mask. She's not PKTT. You can see her, but you decide not to see her. So, not knowing people and what they do, you can't say they come from outside structures. And when it comes to names, all of you here, I can say to you, I think Mwagumalaji will make the best editor of Sunday World. It's a name. You are going to say, no, you are wrong. I think Matata Tsedu will make the best editor. The other one will say, that guy was implicated in lotto money now. He comes from my township. Actually, he's the first serious journalist to interview me. Makudu is far. When I was young, you must ask Makudu. When I'm 60, I'll ask him to write a book, because he was working for, Sowetan or something. We will never arrive at one name if they are names. But a decision has to be taken. So, the structures of the EFF, particularly the leadership, guided by a principle of democratic centralism, arrived at this decision after listening to all different views. You must ask your sources, these sources of yours, that tell you about internal EFF matters. SG, that last CCT, when was it? Where we voted? Beginning of the year. Yeah, beginning of the year. We had elections of who must be a mayor in what city. Go and ask them. They will tell you. That's how democratic we are. Secret ballot was conducted in the plenum beginning of this year. And after that plenum, I came to address a press conference. You asked me about mayors. I said to you, we will announce the mayors after the manifesto, because when they accept, they must be knowing what they are accepting. And that's what we did. That's the process we followed. Unlike Mashaba, who announces himself, and you never call him a dictator, you never call him all manner of names. And then you come here and ask me so nicely, everybody is standing, why are you not standing? Why are you not availing yourself as a mayor so that you can call me names? Now I give you Dr. Taling, I still a problem. Why? Helen Zille is there. Mashaba is there. Why are you not there? I must go in there so I can empower you. I've disempowered you. Alina Selo. You have nothing to say. What are you going to say about Dr. Taling? The palage. Obalamaka mo da tshwarela. Ta o sua Dr. Taling. Obalamaka. Sale release je maina le palla ku criticize. There is nothing you can criticize here. You went all of you. Because we gave you the best. How do you compare Dr. Taling with Helen Zille? The whole international servant at the UN level, you compared with a rusted person who goes around perpetuating racism and division and segregation and justifying colonialism, that it was the best thing that has ever happened to us. And then you compare such a person with Dr. Taling. Less said about Mashaba the better, who thinks very less of poor people, and that a person who has never seen 100 rand can never be a leader. He's including us in that category. Because we came to become leaders before we saw 100 rand. If it was Mashaba's criteria, we're not going to be leaders. Because we didn't have anything in our families. But we became leaders. Mashaba, compared to Dr. Taling. Mashaba can't speak and think at the same time. That song that we used to sing during struggle, Mashaba was not going to participate in it. We can learn and shoot at the same time. That's why he didn't participate in the struggle. Mashaba couldn't do both. He had to choose one. And he chose to do hair instead of shooting. So, there's nothing. Let's wait for the ANC. It's going to bring a recycled old, the problems that we have here. Now, in South Africa, particularly in Joburg, are ANC created. And who in the ANC, the old people who call themselves veterans of the ANC, are responsible for this mess. They're the ones who are responsible for this mess. How do you say you want to correct Gauteng? You go and call that former mayor of Joburg, Bra Ampi. Amos Mason. He's responsible for this mess. The Soweto electricity crisis got formed under Masondo's mayorship when people were rising against the ANC's doing in Johannesburg. We are in this mess because Parkstar decided to take money and went to build bicycle circles and what? In Alexander. Was it bicycle lanes? When you still have people without toilets, bicycle lane. Even white people don't use bicycles. If you are trying to impress white people, even white people don't use those things. So you call Parkstar to come and correct what? His own mess? That's why we had to bring someone outside the tradition of just doing politics without being driven. by passion of saving people. And we hope that the people of Joburg will be able to listen, especially the black middle class that is getting eroded by cost of living, by petrol price, transport, inflation. They are the first to feel that pain. Electricity can never be used to make money, profit. It's like SABC. The job of SABC is to give us information. As long as it can generate enough money to sustain itself, we're fine. We don't want profit from SABC. We don't want profit from electricity. We want people to be provided with affordable, reliable electricity. And that goes to the black middle class as well. Because we treat people as a group, and it's wrong. You are an engineer, you are a doctor, you are all doctors and the same. You must all pay the same. You don't know our individual affordability and problems. So there has to be that criteria where I can come and explain myself to the municipality, being a doctor, being an engineer, being an accountant, that yes, I'm qualified, yes, I work here, but these are my problems. I've got this, and we must be a listening municipality and design an approach, an individual approach to this problem. Not that, all of them, they are nurses, they must pay. All of them, they are doctors, they must pay. All of them, they are working at the university. That time she's a cleaner. She must pay. So we have to deal with these issues individually if we are going to get to the bottom of what is really the problem with affordability of our people when it comes to water and electricity. We have mayors everywhere. Everywhere. Where we don't have mayors, I think it's 2-3 towns in Northern Cape that are predominantly colored, and in the outskirts, I think the comrades are finding it difficult to break that ground, as it were. So I think maybe we must send Lien there to go and work out those places. Again, I met someone at the airport saying to me, why you are taking me, why you are sending your boys to take me in higher education? I don't know what's happening there. I've not been paying attention. But I trust the leadership that we have deployed in higher education to deal with these matters. That leadership has done very well till this far. It has done very well in exposing the previous minister who got fired because of its effort. It has done very well in exposing the corruption in the SITAs. It has done very well now in exposing corruption and favoritism and all of that in the NSFAS. And they continue to robustly engage, and they do so with facts. They don't just howl. They present facts that are undisputed, and as a result, the ANC and everybody else gets to be forced to agree with them. This parliament we serve, you have not paid attention, and the ANC is not paying attention. It's a very interesting parliament. You don't go there and think you're going to win. I don't think it has sinked in their blood, in their system, that they no longer control that parliament. Was it yesterday in the impeachment? Correct. They said we must not appeal the High Court of the Western Cape. And they were in agreement, man, proper. They thought, this one, well, as usual, we're going to get it. And we said, let's vote. And we killed them with 2 votes. So the system is still shocked. Or, man, there's something. So they've not come to accept that they are no longer in charge. And at the center of that misleading attitude is Fikile Mbalula, who still speaks like he's in control. It's not. The research shows that the ANC is going to get 25% of voters in Soweto. In Soweto. So if it gets 25% in Soweto, what's going to happen in suburban areas? Finished. Done. Again, we are from Thohoyandou Stadium. That takes 25,000. You count it per seat, plus 5,000 on the pitch, and then the outside overflow, right? The ANC is going to launch a manifesto in Deep Sloot. Is this Deep Sloot? There's no stadium in Deep Sloot. There's no stadium. Why? The ANC has abandoned the idea of going to a stadium. That's why their anniversary was at that Khayelitsha thing. Because the stadium will expose you. It will expose them before the actual elections. So they've given up on that. Mbalula, who used to fill up 2 stadiums, Johannesburg Stadium and Ellis Park at the same time, and 8 other provinces at the same time. From that to a dusty field of Deep Sloot. There's nothing he can do. He's done. Finished. He speaks like he's still in charge. If he's in charge on the 30th of October, we are in Orlando Stadium for Tselatupa rally, victory rally of the EFF. Orlando Stadium, 45,000 people. Next door, FNB. It will be a derby, same day. Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. South Africa. One will be in Orlando, one in FNB. Those are only 2 stadiums, unless they go to Cape Town. That Cape Town Stadium. Any other stadium that day is the last day, by the way, before the election. So 30th, then the 1st, we finalize the preparations of the elections. Then the 2nd is Monday, is special vote. 3rd is special vote. 4th is normal vote. So why would you listen to someone like that, who has given up, only makes the loudest noise to hide that the stadium is no longer an option? Worse, in Gauteng. In Gauteng, where there is the biggest voter population, and not just saturated voters, they are all found here. You don't spend a lot of money to bring them together, unlike in Limpopo, where you have to go and fetch people all over the province. Everybody here is within a reachable distance. The ANC has run away from those people. Again, you people of sources, you must ask these ANC people, especially in Gauteng, or why are you not going to the stadium and going to that? They are going to tell you rhetoric. We must be where the people are, amongst the people. It means Mandela was not amongst the people because Mandela was holding rallies in the stadium. It means Big was not amongst the people because he was holding rallies in the stadium. It means Zuma was not amongst the people because he was holding rallies in the stadium. That is a political spin. That's a defeat. It's a scientific way to see that this party is finished. There's nothing left of it. The last point is, I know I spoke for too long and I must go, No, I will take the last one. I'm not running away. I've got a situation, and thanks for the condolences. March has never been an issue to the EFF. We've never entertained it. It's never been an issue. We knew it's a vigilante group. We knew it's a tribalistic group. And tribalism and any ideology that thrives on division is unsustainable. You are bound to fight. So I grew up in Limpopo. I didn't grow up in Limpopo. I stay in Limpopo. I'm here because I'm working. If I'm not here, these guys won't pay me. So I need to survive. If I'm not here, I'm in Cape Town. But I stay in Limpopo. When we grew up, there used to be a group called Mapo Wamatamaga. Yes, yes. Na sangara babona diamonds. Mara people just used to take a placard and put at the property and say, this property is protected by Mapo Wamatamaga, a vigilante group. I don't know where they are, those people. They were very popular. Everybody was very scared of them. But they were not following the law. I look at you, you look at me in a different way, I don't like you, I say, no, this guy stole a TV. Then they start beating you up without any due process. We can't allow that. We can't allow a situation where you look at a person and say, this person is too dark. And you say, yes? What language do you speak? No, I speak Tsonga. An ENCA journalist. A person says, I'm from Malamulele. He said, I'm from Malamulele, I speak Tsonga. He says, do you have a passport? Are you legal here? ENCA must be charged for tribalism. That journalist till today has never apologized. How do you become a journalist if you don't know South Africa and you want to question us, South Africans? Don't know South Africa, Malamulela here. Mahonis. Just here. We're next to it here in Toyando. It's divided by Nandoni Dam. We're on the other side of Nandoni Dam. Malamulela is on the other side. Tell that guy to call me. Cameraman, tell him to call me. I'll give him a direction to Malamulela. ENCA. Tell him. I'll give him direction to everywhere in this country. But the point I'm making is it leads exactly to that. Once you start saying to people, yeah, who are you? Where are you from? Yeah? Yes? Can you say this in Zulu? Can you say, come on. Because I can tell you the Zulus in Soweto, the Zulus in Ikuruleni, many of them were born there. They can't say this in Zulu. But it doesn't make them less Zulu. Doesn't make them less Zulu. Some villager sits there and wants to decide what must happen. We don't want illegal foreigners. We don't want them. We want them legalized. They are here. And issues of migration are not just national issues. They are governed internationally on how those people get to be treated. And when you get isolated internationally, you start saying, yeah, but they don't want us. What are you talking about? I'm not talking about exile. I'm not talking about those who went to the camps, who Godrich and them. I'm talking about the economy of this country. It was built by everyone in Southern Africa. This Gauteng you're talking about, it has got sweat of Mozambicans who were brought here to come and build this economy. That's why many of these people, many of us, if we were to trace us, it takes us back to the continent. You must listen to my grandfather who passed away now, when he praises me in one of the praises he conducted at the manifesto launch of the EFF, I think in Polokwane. At the end of that praise singing, he says, Malema Muzimbabwe. Beat me if you can.
Thank you very much, President. Colleagues, we're taking the last round of hands. We will start with Kasi here, and then 2, 3 Central News, 4, 5. We take 5. Let's start.
Good afternoon, Shannon Merricks from KCBC Africa. I wanted to give my seniors the opportunity to ask first before I come with small anyana questions. So normally I'm first, but when I'm sitting with the seniors, I must respect protocol. EFF had a slogan, ready to govern in the previous elections. I don't remember which one. And now you have MMCs. Specifically, I want to speak of Joburg. You have the MMC of health, you have the MMC of public safety. EFF then came with a program that we should not pay to use toilets and so on in Park Station and so on. Very successful program, and as the media, it was not covered. However, the criminals now have stopped fixing the toilets at Park Station, at government buildings and so on. And they say to people, you must pay the R2, then we fix the toilet. So EFF is in government. What are you going to do to go and deal with those criminals at Park Station specifically? Your MMC, they can go there now as we speak to see what's happening, because those are real issues of the people, and you are in government already. The other thing, you have the MEC of finance. And Gauteng, and my friends here, the seniors, they'll agree with me. Gauteng is Gautrain is a criminal enterprise. I want to give an example. If I leave Park Station in Gautrain to Pretoria, it costs me R100. If I leave Gautrain from Park Station to Rhodesfield, it costs me R60. But if I leave Park Station to OR Tambo, which is less than 10 minutes walk from Rhodesfield to OR Tambo, it costs me R228. When this Gautrain was my money, your money as residents of Gauteng. So your MEC is there, he's in charge of finance, Gautrain falls under him. Can you deal with that? Because those are issues of poor people. Last but not least, I had 5 questions, but let me stick to the last one. I'm not contesting elections. I'm not contesting as a ward councillor, PR councillor, mayoral candidate, and so on. But you have Mashile, you have MacG, you have Ntiki, you have Lunga, all with 4 followers on Facebook and so on, and they feel that they can contest elections. What is your, as Julius Malema, what is your advice to these people that think because you got followers on Facebook, you got likes on social media, you can start a political party, you can contest elections? What advice can you give to them? Last but not least, Mashile, he said since Floyd Shibambo left EFF, and I want to be diplomatic, but I can't. Yes, he said since Floyd left EFF, the brain left, the mind is not operating. And then you had another guy, Musa Kuala or what. He said, since Floyd left, your wife wanted to divorce you. So those things, it looks like Floyd controls your body part. How do you respond? Which parts are working and not working since Floyd left, including your private parts? Last but not least, on your grandfather, and I wanted to be last today because I want you to respond to this. On your grandfather, on social media, when he appeared with you in court after your grandmother passed away, there was terrible things said about him. And it's not mainstream media. It's these influencers and so on. They said he's a traditional healer. They say he's from Nigeria. He's from where. They said terrible things about him. Some of us, we remain quiet, but where we're sitting today, we realize it was your grandfather. He had to step in when your grandmother passed away. Can you tell us a little bit about this character? Not too much, because I know you have to deal with the funeral, but just as the media, where we can understand, because this man was never in the public. He never wanted to come and say, no, I'm the grandfather. This one, when you were rich, remember before SARS took your assets and all that, which normally people do. When the grandchild is successful, they want to claim glory. But he was with you at the funeral, at your court cases and so on. Thank you.
Thanks.
Greetings, CIC. God's comfort and strength to you and the family. Greetings to the leadership, colleagues. Ntabise Molejani from Central News. My question is with regards to the statement that was released on Tuesday by the EFF in Mpumalanga condemning the actions of the student disrupting exams during the whole asbestos roofing strike. The EFF had condemned the actions of the student. What does this incident say about how the EFF believes that student concerns should be raised in institutions of higher learning? And also on a lighter note, we are approaching final voter registration weekend. Message to young people who have not yet registered or people that have not yet updated their details. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Thokozani Buthelezi from Alex FM. Yes. CIC, my first question is that of the land issue. You see, we can understand that the land issue becomes more and more controversial, and especially whenever it is being touched by the EFF. You see, so most of the people, they are sort of not aligning with the objective of the ANC. The EFF, how does the EFF actually planning to persuade more to the public in general about the land issue? And then again, the fact of the industrialization, I've heard that when you were presenting the speech, you have touched the subject of the industrialization. And then of which I'm aware that it needs the inclusivity, whereby we are aware that in South Africa, most portion is still being enjoyed by the white community. So, and then EFF, in relation to white community, it seems as if it's also more kind of controversial according to the public perspective. So are there any plans that will engage with them, especially as the stakeholders? Then the third question, I'm sure we are all aware that EFF enjoys more kind of attendance within their rallies, but the polls describe something different. So does that not bothering the EFF, you see? And then lastly, it's the appointment of your mayoral candidates. So it's a good credentials that have been conducted. We need to complement that. So does that also mean that the EFF set the trend in order to maybe send a message to young people, the upcoming generation, those who are making, those are also the part of voting? Thank you very much.
All right. Demoso Mokwena from Now in SA. President, there is a very peculiar thing that happened at the Madlanga Commission, where Advocate Cheselson was caught trying to manipulate the WhatsApp conversation in order to put you, or to infer that you had asked for the tender for Bertolt Bright, which subsequently, I think a couple of days later, the commissioners decided that evidence will no longer be given in the absence of witnesses because of the inferences that it allows. I want to find out, because I think we were perhaps, and apart from IOL, we were perhaps the only media houses that posted that video clip, and the others, I don't know why they didn't post that video clip, but I think you've also spoken perhaps about what ENCA has done. What do you think is the media's role in perhaps aiding and abetting the environment and the perception that is around the EFF today? And then my final question would be, there seems to be now a growing trend of perhaps you could say washed up celebrities, musicians, DJs, who have now found a new audience when it comes to attacking the EFF. I can make examples of Dumiso Masha, you know, the alleged former drug addict and woman beater, Nota Baloyi, alleged rapist, Oscar Mbo, who was always known for wearing fake Gucci or Louis Vuitton. But these are individuals that have been on the outskirts of society and even been talked about. What do you think is an incentive to perhaps, you know, be against the EFF, even though it is against their own interests as black people in South Africa?
Thank you very much, colleagues. Over to you, President.
you very much. I think we must try and be very brief. The point is taken on the toilets. It actually goes beyond that, because in our manifesto we emphasize that there must be a cooperation between taxi associations, bus associations, train stations about the cleanness of those areas. There must be a budget allocated and people working for municipality paid to clean those environments, because that's where our people meet. That's where our people visit on a daily basis, and therefore we need to formalize it and work with the associations to deal with that. It doesn't mean we must stop. We need to work now, like you're saying, and I hope Moshe is listening and will immediately attend to the issue at Johannesburg Park Station. I think the mayoral candidate will have to give him a call, because she must not wait. Anything Johannesburg, she must write down and immediately attend to it and show people that she can do this thing even before she gets elected. It's a low-hanging fruit. Those are issues that shouldn't be escaping us, and we shouldn't be doing them for public relations. I don't understand the kind of government that doesn't have village intelligence. That if you have taken this project to be a government project, you ought to have people there who inform government from time to time that so and so is the one who's coming to damage these things. This is where they sell them. This is what they do. Because they are concerned, they are community members. So the interaction with communities will help us to protect the infrastructure. So once infrastructure get damaged by Amapara and the Nyaopist and all of those things, and we don't get to know, it means our government does not have a relationship with the people, because those things happen in front of our own people, and they don't know who to tell. And if we tell this person, are we going to be safe? Because we're going to tell, only to tell an MMC who's actually working with these people to steal from the public. So, but that the people's driven municipality should have that kind of a relationship. The point on Gautrain, I think the MEC should zoom into that space. Gautrain now belongs to us. We've finished paying for it. It's our own. And I was saying the other day that we are not of an idea that we must run it as government. I mean, it's one of the things that are running properly. We can have that relationship where we partner with the private sector to continue running this thing. But it should be in the interest of our people. It's public owned. We can manage it if we want, or we can outsource its management so that we concentrate on more complex issues of delivering services to our people. It needs to be expanded. It must go to Soweto. It must reach Soweto. The sooner the better. There's no feasibility study that can be conducted for 5 years as to whether it will be viable or not if we're to extend it to Soweto. That question doesn't arise. There's no feasibility study that can come back and say, no, there is no such a thing. But there is a feasibility study that says if you go to Pretoria, it is visible than if you go to Soweto. You know, the story of the workers of Soweto work here in Sandton is very painful. And not just workers, some of them bank tellers. She stays in Soweto. She has to wake up at 4. By 5, she must be out. And it doesn't matter, she has to arrive here. If she arrives here at 7 or 6, she has to wait for the office to be opened. Only then she can have access. But she has been up very early in the morning. We can have this kind of intervention, resolving this difficulty that our people are confronted with. qualified, she went to school. She's a teller. She doesn't qualify to buy a house here in Sandton or close by. She doesn't qualify to rent, because even renting these days, they subject you to some process as if you are going to buy that house. There's no difference. So as a result, she doesn't qualify. She has to now leave here, 4:30, go all the way to Johannesburg city to Soweto, arrives in Soweto, get dropped in an unsafe place, the street lights are not working. She's very lucky if there's a tar road. The high possibilities of her being raped are there. All of that. Why can't that pain us? And we get to be preoccupied by such a thing, that this is what we need to deliver to our people. So, that issue of Gautrain, we'll enter it immediately. I'm very happy that you raised it. You know, our constitution is a very nice constitution. Anyone can form a political party. And I get extremely offended when you get offended when people form political parties. But you always say, we must protect the constitution. We must protect the constitution. The constitution says everyone can form a political party. You can vote for any political party of your choice. You can form any political party if you want. And someone actually tweeted and said there are 600 registered political parties. 612. So you need to know the difference from today. There's a difference between being a registered political party and a election contesting political party. You might be registered, but you might not qualify to contest the elections. It's easy to register a political party, something else to contest. So we'll have to check, once they gazette the date, as to how many out of 612 are contesting elections. There's also that thing of money that you must pay. We have to pay how much? TG. You don't know, but you're answering SG. Was SG or DP? The other day you said, yeah, we need money to register candidates. He said, don't worry, I've got it. But she doesn't know how much we're going to pay. We have to pay for every candidate. All of these candidates that are contesting, we're going to pay for all of them. Yet we are a registered political party. For us to contest, we have to pay. So let them do what they want to do. Let me tell you, MacG, that thing is called MacG, podcast. It's a political party, that thing. It's a political party. Its role is to depoliticize the youth. It's a political party formed to depoliticize the youth. That is his role. That's why he drinks alcohol during presentation, making alcohol fashionable and telling those who are calling themselves chillers that when you are chilling, you must drink. And then speak loosely about everything black and African. So cheaply. And then when we attend to him, he says, they want to cancel me. He thinks he's special. He thinks wearing flip-flops is something special. He wears flip-flops and insult and attack every black person, attack Mini Dlamini, attack all of these things. And what is that? Why would you even be shaken by something like that? Why would you follow? If you are a thinker, why would you follow something like that? At least Mbuiseni gave you something to listen to. If you want to learn something, he calls people there of stature who think, who talk sense. I was watching him yesterday with that former police commissioner, the white guy. 5 years. So would you even be worried about MacG? MacG, if you remember, 2004, they registered some boy, I don't know if he was from Free State or something, JJ. They campaigned for JJ to be registered as an independent candidate. JJ did not even get anything to get him into Free State legislature. So why would you be worried about MacG? What influence does he have? Let him go and campaign for JJ. So why would you think he's influential? People know the difference. We may like you as a pastor, but not in politics. We may like you as you make a very good businessman, Patrice Motsepe. We speak about you. We give our children examples about you. The day you do politics, we stop. You must know that. Yasuka, we are fighting. That's how it works. So, let them do what they think they are good at. There's this one of Rise Mzanzi. Lukona. Mguni. He was masquerading as a political analyst. Insulting us every day. He's tired. Now he's coming out. Like his principal, Songes. So what? We know what we're dealing with. These are political formations that are masquerading as a podcast, as media, as this, as that. They harbor very strong political opinions. And they get finance. How does Rise Mzanzi get given so much money in less than no time? And it gets funded by an NGO that got founded. You get formed today. In 3 months, you can fund people 3 million. Where did you get it? 10 million, 15 million. Mashaba. With all of your money, because we assume making money, maybe you're clever than us and you can think. Why would you give Mashaba 45 million? Let's take Mashaba's 45 million and put it here. And take the people that are elected to serve in parliament, in the legislature, yes. And calculate how much money they will pay back to Action SA in the next 5 years. They will never get that 45 million back in party levies. So, Nxumalo is another friend of mine who was mentioned at the commission. You must know now, if you are my friend, even if they mention you wrongly, I will never run away from you. I will never pretend I don't know you. I know him. He was overseas the past 3 days. Then he tells me they were in a function with some white millionaires who know South African politics better than him and who know you guys by names. And then he says, it's so interesting that we don't know anything about their country, but they know everything about our country. I said, no, we know everything about their country. We are just not invested in their politics. So they put money in South Africa. That's why they want to know who's going to be the mayor of Joburg. Their properties are here. I ask him, I say, ask him, whoever who knows politics of South Africa, ask him if he stays in London, what business does he do in London? He doesn't do any business in London. All of their businesses are here. So they use the money here to finance their lifestyle overseas. That's why they're invested to know who's the next mayor. Is this mayor going to rent my office park and pay rent that is going to pay my rent in London and pay my lifestyle? None of us here can afford to give any of the political parties 45 million. No one can afford, except the Oppenheimers. They too, They are invested in the politics of South Africa because their business is here. And they don't trust that the EFF will look after us. You know, the EFF is the best organization to invest in. Because once you deliver to the poorest of the poor, the rich will no longer have to build walls. They will enjoy the beautiful views of their gardens. Because they will have no poor to fear. The poor will be receiving employment, will be receiving service delivery. Today they are building high walls because they know what they've done. They stole from the majority and they are scared the majority one day will rise against them. What do? They come around. Finance every podcast. There is a guy here called Penwell. How do you finance a person who refuses to pay maintenance? Maintenance. Mara ha patele maintenance. Criminals all over because of men like Penwell who are not paying maintenance. Where now you proudly associate yourself with such a person. And then regard such a person as an influencer. Shame on you. So, I don't care about these people. You know, if Floyd is the brain, let that brain work at the Maibui. Let that brain. If Floyd is Viagra, like you are saying, let that Viagra give erection to Maibui. Let it M-Pesu. Let M-Pesu give Maibui erection. Yapala utsowa isa robeji li no. Yapala. Agano kitima South Africa ega mukai. Yapala. Nothing can do. Idea. I told you in this organization, when we go to any conference, manifesto, what, the brains are brought together. And they're the ones who develop these ideas of this political party. I will never claim to have formed the EFF alone and for myself. Now, the brains that were there when this organization was formed, the brains that formed this organization are still there. When the brains have left, you don't listen to social media commentators. You take the 2026 manifesto, 2004 manifesto, 2016 manifesto, and make comparison. And listen if the ideas have left or not. Ideas do not live because someone says so. Ideas live because in what you read, there is a complete shift. And there is nothing of substance that comes out of what this organization is presenting till we left. Less said about wives, the better. Because I'm not a divorcee. I've got my wife and my family. Proper. Without any hesitation. And even when I was young and flexible, it looks like I'm getting old now. You will never have played in that space with me. Now, my peers, they know that. I think I'm in the league of Nelson Mandela. So I don't play like that. So you know how I survive family-wise? I don't listen to absolute nonsense. I don't care whether you are a parent or you're not a parent, whether you are a traditional healer, whether you are a pastor, or not, I don't care. I listen to what I saw. Even if my instinct is very strong, I will never act until I've seen wrongdoing. There's no someone who's going to say, your marriage will not last. Hey, wait. If you want a marriage to survive, never listen to any tips. It's the two of you only. There's no one else. The rest are an extended family. So you go around listening to people and think you can build a family. Oh, you're gone, my guy. You don't stop people from expressing themselves, but don't listen to nonsense. Nonsense. Even our own parents can talk nonsense. They can fight their wives. They can fight their husbands, which defeated them in their marriages through our marriage. Onoka motho a re basadi ba so di mo paletse ene. Banna ba so a se nna banna man. Ke nna Julius Malema ke banna ba fena. I must be treated as an individual, not generic. So why would someone with no such a track record, my marriage and the EFF SG, the difference is 1 year. So you celebrated 13. It means I'm going to celebrate 12 in December. Unbroken service. Eh? So, comrades, no one and none of you, not a single individual, can ever say, he has seen my grandmother in politics. No one. You always hear me talk about my grandmother. You have never seen her in politics. The only time you got to see her, at least close, is when I went to vote with her. My family has made it their business not to be too involved in my politics. Even when I was in the ANC. So, the same with my grandfather. You know, we went to court in Polokwane, accused of corruption. My grandmother wanted to go. And we said, no, you're not going anywhere. You sit here. And we were given one instruction. Before you anyway. Otherwise, next time report. I want to hear for myself. The same thing with the old man. Report guilty, no. This time they are going to send him to jail. No ways. Or now there is a point where you reach where these issues need a parent. I have to stand up now. And then he went to court. So they don't get involved in that way. But don't think it's not EFF. Through and through, you must ask Vian. We were with him last week or so. And I said to him, do you know this guy? He says, yo, waka. Office. Oh, okay. Sharp. When I turn around, he goes to Vuyan. Or how is the office? In Veneg. Vuyan tries to explain. So I ask him, do you know the office? Or he has EFF. Why it's or ke 5 story agir. Ke 5 story. Or ke floor 5. Are ke 5 story. What's the floor? Some leaders they may not know how many floors does the EFF office have. Or go ke 5 story. Le thokomele office. Ke 5 story. Ka Johannesburg, ka rampampa ya Johannesburg. Ke tsebe. So they knew, they followed, refused active participation because they don't want to be accused that they're taking advantage and they're being preferred over others. But everyone in my family, everyone, even those who are still going to be born, are EFF. I'll verify on Saturday if they are Orlando Pirates. I will have to work on that also. Chiefs, Pirates. So be rest assured, we are going to bury a fighter of note who, when we're sitting there, my other brother came in, he was carrying a black EFF t-shirt, Victory or Death, the new design. So I said to him, why do you bring him t-shirt? He says, no, he said, he saw a black EFF t-shirt of Victory or Death. He wants that t-shirt. I must bring him. So every merchandise that goes out, that's how much he followed. He knows the new merchandise. He knows the new theme, what we are doing this year. And then he will make noise about how the fighters are not working in the village where he came from. So we're fine. There is no EFF statement in Mpumalanga because we didn't issue any statement. No. There's no statement. There's no one in the EFF now who speaks without elections spokespersons. So any statement is not worth a paper written on. No chairperson, no secretary, no president, no one can issue a statement in this period without election spokesperson. Why? The election spokespersons should know, is this good for elections or not? That's why we suspend every position and establish election structures so that you don't commit electoral mistake. So we have no such a statement in Mpumalanga. But don't say the mafia. Don't say mafia is Nkomazi, ne? Don't say Nkomazi protest of asbestos is students. It's not students. It's an EFF protest. It was EFF initiated. It was an EFF protest, and we own it till now. It's ours. No one has got no authority to distance himself from the sub-regional activity of the EFF that was led by mafia in Nkomazi, in Mpumalanga. It's ours. It's not students. And we are going to continue until a proper structure is put there. That thing is a health hazard. There's no building in South Africa that should be having asbestos. Not a single house, not a single office or college or anything of that sort. That's a policy of the EFF. And Mafia was well within his right to lead that campaign. It is his sub-region. He leads the election campaign in that particular municipality. We have announced him today as a mayoral candidate. What does a mayoral candidate mean? It means a leader of election campaign of the EFF in that particular municipality. So there are no chains. There's nothing they can be moving around wearing them. We're still fighting for chains. So they have to lead a campaign to claim the chain. No one, not a single one in the EFF is entitled to this position of a mayor candidate or a what candidate. Anyone who found himself offended by any nomination, that person doesn't belong to the EFF. They joined EFF for wrong reasons. You are crying over a mayoral candidate even before we put a person as a mayor. You cry. The day we are swearing in a mayor, you are going to commit suicide. Straight to the graveyard. Why would you cry? You joined for, you want to be MPL. You want to be MP. You want to be a councillor. You want to be MMC. You want to be a mayoral candidate. You want to be commissar. Everything is about you. For what? For what? We announced our mayoral candidate. You feel offended, you know the door you used to come in. Kitcha dinchi part. Let abuntiki mazwai likatushana uthapa na mo wela tswarichana tsi. Aye. You're not going to wake up, feel so entitled. Feel so entitled. Wake up and say, today the chief is going to address, he's going to announce me. No one told you that. And then what kind of politics is that? No. Even in the ANC, I've never seen anything like that. I've no sympathy, none whatsoever, for position mongers, for people who are entitled. They are going to kill us. If I announce Leanne as a mayoral candidate, and you cry because I announced Leanne, it's no longer a point of disagreement. It's hatred. You hate her. So what must I do with politics of hate? I don't want to see such people next to me. You hate a commissar, you hate a comrade, you hate a fighter. You are going to kill us. We survived people like that. People who wanted to force us into a coalition with DA and these Afrikaners. Freedom Front Plus. Once you go into alliance with Freedom Front Plus, you have gone into alliance with these guys, AfriForum. That thing is AfriForum controlled. DA is AfriForum controlled. John Steinhazen was removed by AfriForum because they said the farmers were not happy the way he's handling foot and mouth. So what I say? These are men and women who must be supported by everyone. They too were shocked by the announcement of the organization. Sam Matthias went to one of my friends, I go to again. Bang announce Jemola. Wagwisha the implication agere Usanju Tomo Zinchaga. I must go and fight there. No, let me look around. Who's going to support this campaign now? Otomo look around as and when it gets announced. He didn't come saying to people, come, get a VIP. You will hear. The things are going to happen. We'll talk after. No, he gets shocked there. Someone gets shocked that it's not announced. When people are shocked that they are announced, because they never felt entitled, yet served the movement. Even when the movement was faced with its most difficult times, they were never unshaken. These are men and women that we have announced today, all of them. I've addressed the young people towards the end of the statement that if you are serious about fighting unemployment, solution is this weekend. It's not the 4th of November. Even if you are not sure whether you want to vote or not, just register. Because on the 4th, what do you call that thing? That season, election season, the election hype will be there, and then the next thing you just wake up, you go to a voting station, they say your name is not here. You start saying, these people say my name is not here, but you never registered. Just register. Registering does not mean you are going to vote. It means in case I decide, my name must still be there, so that I get an opportunity to decide the future of this country. Land issue, industrialization, all of those are EFF policies, and that's what differentiates us from DA, and that's what I like about Helen Zille. She says there are two parties in South Africa, it's DA and the EFF. Because the EFF is very clear on its political and ideological direction, which is completely different from that of the DA. These are very complex matters that people try to depoliticize the youth, not to look at these issues and look for vibes and nice time, and then the land and the industry and the mines and the banks remain in the hands of the minority few. And we normalize that idea that actually we were born to drink and they were born to own. So that's what we're fighting against. It has got nothing to do with elections. You know, there is what we call ideological perspective, and there is what we call electoral politics. Electoral politics is the means within which we use to attain our strategic ideological objective. And whatever inroad you make, we are in the right track to arrive at the strategic objective of the EFF. And these are amongst the 7 cardinal pillars of the EFF, which are non-negotiables. Look, I don't know what Cheggelson was trying to do. I don't know. But all I know is that Cheggelson wanted to be a prosecutor in the NPA after serving in the, is it Zondo Commission. They said some cases in the Zondo Commission must be referred to the NPA. Then Zondo finishes. Then Cheggelson, that one who left, not Cheggelson, Batoi wanted to appoint Cheggelson and the other one, Pretorius, to go and prosecute the cases that they said must go and be prosecuted in the NPA. And we said, no, it's not done. You can't refer this matter and come from the other side and go and prosecute the same matter that you said must be prosecuted. So I think we stopped him from throwing a javelin and catching it from the other side. And he has since taken an issue with the EFF. But we're not scared of him. There were people like him before who tried that nonsense. And that's why Khumalo saw him through. But what are you trying to say now? Because this is not here. What are you saying? So, he can try. He can even call me if he wants. I'm not scared of anything. I've never done anything wrong. I'm going to give him the same response I gave him in a letter. He says, this one says to this one about this. So what must I say now? What must I do? That an old man is speaking to an old man who come and ask me about the two men having a conversation. Go and ask them. Why are you asking me? I'm not part of the conversation. I'm not part of the conversation. You know, there is a thing that Khan gave us questions to ask a former intelligence, something. Inspector General, yeah. Firstly, I don't qualify to ask Inspector General questions because I don't sit in the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. I've never been part of it. Only that committee can question Inspector General. And for you to sit in that committee, you must ask Leanne. She sits in that committee. They have to vet you. They found some high school messages in her phone. Hello, sweetheart. Vetting. Yeah, gorgeous. So, and then they do polygraphy. So for you to sit in that, I don't sit in that thing. So they say, we were being given questions to go and set up a Inspector General. If we were given those questions to set up Inspector General so that he lies and he lies, those were good questions. Why does he lie in? Why do you lie? There's no one who can set you up to lie. You must just tell the truth. Why do you tell untruth under oath as an Inspector General? And if Khan had given me those questions, I was not going to deny them. Who must give me the questions? I'm going to question a minister of police in the ad hoc committee. All manner of generals, policemen, public, everybody. Send me questions. Ask him this, ask him that. Why? It's my role. It's my job. I'm a public representative. If Khan gives me questions, it's well and good because the possibility that he voted for EFF is very high. Maybe the people who vote for me, they must give me questions. Who must give me questions? Helen Zille. Mantua must give me questions. My wife must, because 99.999% exists that she might vote for EFF. I don't know about this other 1,00. So if she can't give me questions, if my friend can't give me questions, if my comrades can't give me questions, the people who send me to parliament, who's going to give me questions? Mo must give me questions. Mazoti must give me questions. Anyone else of the public must give me questions. They are part of the public. By the way, including prisoners, rapists of note, murderers. Kat Matala can give me questions. I will ask them. It's my job. I'm not saying you have done this. I'm saying it is alleged. You know what is even worse? In the JSC, when we interview judges, we get all manner of questions from the public to ask judges questions. So, Chakalson thinks I must get questions from who? From him. Next time you see him, if you see him, tell him to send me questions if he's got questions, like he did now and I answered them. Nagata warabab. Nag chabisilo. Whether I wrong or right, garab. But I'm blaming Agamrao leadership or ish that one we should have. Margansarin. Kanajala Jauto, Graba Utauta to go madlanga, ona mutatlung utauta nangwana, sin nangwana. Not a child. No other man is going to speak to me like I'm a child. Not me. I'm elected public representative and a leader of a political party. I'm not going to be shouted at by anyone. No one can do that to me. It I am. If he wrote wrong, why it's it wrong? Arrest me. But you are not going to address me by belittling me. I don't care if you are a judge or you are a magistrate or you are a commission. No one speaks to me like I'm a boy. If you want to see the other side of me. I'm not scared of nothing. Especially where I think I've not done anything wrong. You'll find me. So don't think that there is some scaremongering about Madlanga against me. Me. Hey, lena le tuta na le lata man. Ale leni. Na gi chabisilo. Nothing. Because I've got nothing to hide. Comrades, the problem is the problem is not influencers. The problem is the EFF influencers on social media. They speak on everything. A useless celebrity that has lost a gig for many years just says rubbish. EFF influencers leave everything they are doing to attack to a useless bastard. Why? And then you make him relevant, then those questions come to us now. We must be speaking about a fool, which we never entertained. Don't think we didn't hear. Instead of pushing EFF policy, EFF candidate, EFF mayoral candidate, EFF issues of the poor and the poor, you decide to attend to a useless fellow. I didn't know that Oscar Mbo insulted. Did he do Vian? I've not seen anything like that. I know Oscar Mbo. I would have called him immediately and asked him why. What is the problem? Why not calling us and understand what is the issue, if there is an issue, instead of attacking? But I don't remember him attacking the EFF. But all I'm saying is EFF influencers must stop entertaining everything. Something that can easily just pass and there's no issue. You comrades are after it. And you know why they do that? They know the party that can give you relevance within a second is the EFF. You remember there's a guy in Northwest who used to be a singer, Stone. He one day just went and attacked EFF. Not the next thing I see on social media. Hey, man, what's happening? No, stone. Stone. Kaya stone saying, si Diego. Wapela. Wapela guy. Nto working. Bongo muffin. Warning is bongo muffin in Chichepina ban. Lenale ataka mto. Ma 2000 aba motsibelo motsiba motori ke mang. Once you started attacking that person, ma 2000, but who's this one now? You make him relevant. You must just read those things and go, shame. Inyaka utuwa karena. Uchwe moyo. The EFF influencers must retweet each other and engage each other constructively. When a leader of a province has made a mistake, you don't go on a barrage of an attack. You are making the enemy excited. Rather, make the leadership aware that this leader has tweeted this thing and it's not good for our image. We appreciate the role they play. The struggle has moved effectively from the picket lines into online. Let's take Elon Musk's platform and use it for our own benefit and against his wishes. Not to promote the people who are paid by Elon Musk to attack us. And they only get paid if they are retweets and hits. And all of those hits come from us. Sometimes we are shooting at ourselves. I mean, even the guy you are talking about of influence, of acting or something, I had to remember him because he looks different now from that time when he was acting. I don't know if he's growing up or wanting some. But to me, show hey, we don't know this guy. You guys go and fetch things from dustbin, you tint them, and then you make them relevant, and then you bring all of us into the whole thing. Please, you have a manifesto now. You have candidates now. You have a campaign to run. Concentrate on promotion of the EFF and leave the enemy out there to dry. You must starve them. You are the ones who are feeding them, yet you are saying you are fighting with them. Painful as it is, don't respond to them. Rather, write an alternative perspective yourself on your own platforms and let the fighters come and retweet an alternative platforms. Use the groups, the WhatsApp groups, the whatever communication. Guys, there is this tweet. Let's go there and retweet it. And if it reaches a particular mark now, I'm told those people get paid. And then our fighters get paid by Elon Musk, who's supposed to be hating us because we promoted one another. Let's use the weapon of the enemy to destroy the enemy. Not to destroy ourselves, thinking we're defending ourselves, but we're promoting the enemy to make the EFF irrelevant. The issue of migration is not an easy issue that you expect everybody to understand, including these influencers that you are saying they are attacking us. Sometimes it takes a sit down. It's a role of communicators. It's a role of leaders to take a call and call that to me show and say, Chief, can we meet? What is the problem? He talks. Since you say he doesn't have a lot of activities, it means he's got time. So you call him to a meeting and say, come here, let's give you activity. What is the issue? You sit down, you talk, you convert him. Unlike just howling at him, sometimes they act out of ignorance. And you just attack innocent. They too get shocked to that. Okay, why? Why are they being like this? Sometimes you have to educate. And not sometimes, as EFF all the time, as doctors of society who must cure an ill society. Thank you. I'm gone now.